Hey parents, Mr. Jim here to tell you why kids love learning with Osmo's Genius Starter Kit. Osmo uses real tangible pieces that look and feel just like toys, combining them with immersive digital experiences to create fun, whole child learning adventures. They'll have a blast with the Genius Starter Kit, playing games that explore math, reading, and more. Just in time for the holidays, get up to 40% off select kits and games. Order today at playosmo.com. That's playosmo.com. Osmo, learning well played.
Hello, critter protectors. Mr. Jim here, and welcome to Kids Animal Stories, a place where there's always a mystery and adventure around every single corner. If you love critters of all shapes and sizes, I need you on our Critter Protector team. Join our adventure as we learn about critters from around the world and in our backyards. Well, my friends, are you ready for today's adventure? Me too! Let's go!
Today is another one of our mystery adventures. Sandy. I'm not going to tell you what kind of critter Sandy is. We're going to have to figure it out along the way. You see, throughout the story, there will be many important clues that will help you solve this mystery of who is Sandy. The African savanna was one of the most exciting places to live. There were so many animals that roamed freely all day long. Sandy loved to sit and watch everyone that walked by her. One of her favorite things to do was bask in the sun. Oh, it was nice and warm. That's what she spent most of her days doing. The sun made Savannah feel so safe, nice, and hot, which Sandy loved. Sandy couldn't warm herself without the sun, since she was cold-blooded. Do you know what that means? Yeah, we, me and you, are mammals, which means our blood is warm-blooded. It means our body produces the heat to keep us warm. But there's critters like Sandy and other reptiles that are cold-blooded. Means if you put them in a cool place, their body is going to turn exactly that temperature. But if you put them in a warm place, their body's going to turn that temperature as well. They are unable to control their own body temperatures. But staying warm is very important. So each day, Sandy would wake up and walk her way to her favorite spot to sun herself. She had a basking rock that she always laid on to warm up in the morning, and unless she was out hunting, that was where she spent the majority of her day. As Sandy was enjoying the warm rays from the sun, a wildebeest walked by her.
"Lovely day to sun yourself, eh, Sandy?"
he said. Sandy opened her eyes and looked up to see Will. Will was an older wildebeest who was one of the slowest members of his herd. He always seemed to be the last in line for anything, but he didn't mind. He enjoyed a slower pace of life like Sandy did, and that's why they were made such good friends. While everyone else was hurrying about, Will and Sandy enjoyed a quieter life together. "What were you doing today, Will?" asked Sandy. Will chuckled at Sandy.
"I'm getting ready to follow the herd to the watering hole. It's been a hot day out here. Care to come along for a sip of water, Sandy?"
Sandy was getting pretty thirsty herself. Sitting outside on her basking rock in the sun had really warmed her up. But now she was a little too warm. If she didn't cool down soon, she would get overheated, which is not good. "Sure, Will. I'll come with you. I could use a little dip with my tail," said Sandy. She crawled off her basking rock and began walking with Will to the watering hole. Will's herd was already much closer to the watering hole by now, since Will was always last in line, but he didn't mind. It gave him a chance to catch up with Sandy. Sandy couldn't walk as fast as Will, since he was much bigger than she was. Her legs were quite short, and she was low to the ground, but she tried her best to keep up. Sandy enjoyed Will's company much more than being with her own kind. She was pretty territorial and often had to fight others for her basking rock, so she didn't leave it often. Whoa! They had to fight just to lay on a rock? Wow, that's pretty unusual. But Will was a kind wildebeest, so she enjoyed spending a bit of time with him when he came around.
Have you had your breakfast yet, Sandy?
Asked Will.
Oh yes, I already caught some scorpions this morning. They were mighty delicious, but I'm starting to get hungry for lunch. Maybe while we're at the watering hole, I'll take a look around for something to eat.
Will shuddered. He couldn't imagine the thought of eating scorpions. Oh! Whoa, have you ever tried a new food that sounded gross? Did you end up liking it? Have you ever tried scorpions? Me neither. I'm never eating scorpions. I'm not as wild and brave as Sandy is.
I don't know how you eat scorpions, Sandy, said Will.
Well, I eat snakes too.
Will the wildebeest just shook his head.
Don't they hurt you? You know, especially the poisonous ones.
No, I'm actually immune to their venom. I can eat them without any problems,
said Sandy.
Whew. I wish I could be immune to snake venom. That would just make things way more simpler.
Will and Sandy made it to the watering hole. There were many animals there getting a drink that day. Will's entire herd of wildebeest was there, along with a few lionesses and a few birds. Sandy watched the watering hole carefully. She didn't like to be taken by surprise by any animal that might be looking for more than just a drink, if you know what I mean. Will bent his head down next to Sandy and began to drink his water. Sandy liked to watch over Will the best she could since he was so slow. Will wouldn't be able to outrun a predator like the rest of his herd, so Sandy stood by him as he drank. Sandy looked left and right and flicked her tongue out. Everything seemed normal and smelled normal too. Whoa, she can smell the air with her tongue? Wow. But then out of nowhere, a crocodile splashed up out of the watering hole towards Will. All the animals let out piercing cries and began to run from the watering hole as fast as they could. Will tried to turn around to run, but the crocodile grabbed onto his hoof. Ah! Will let out a cry and tried to escape, but it was too late. The crocodile was very strong. Sandy knew she had to help Will. She started to hiss very loudly to make the crocodile let go of Will, but it wasn't working. She knew she was running out of time and had to do something fast. What in the world is going to happen to Will? Is Sandy going to be able to help? I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait and see what happens on the next episode of Kids Animal Stories. We'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. Hey friends, I need your help celebrating a birthday. Drum roll, please. Happy birthday, Henry, who's turning 5 years old. Henry loves spiders, the color red, and he loves drawing. Wow, Henry, do you love drawing red spiders? I bet you're awesome at it. Henry, I'm so glad that we got to celebrate you and your big day on the show. Happy 5th birthday! Wow, have you figured out what kind of critter that Sandy is? This is a really tough one. I feel like, okay, so she lives in the place called the African Savannah. Okay. And, oh yes, remember she was a kind of reptile, right? Yeah, because she's cold-blooded. Yeah, and she smelled the air. Interesting. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna have to come back and see what happens on the next adventure to listen for more clues. Well, friends, you have a super duper day. I'll see you later. Bye!